say you're a single mom and your partner works, then wait, that's not how being a single mom works. Oh my god, words. Why is my tongue orange? I love Poshmark. Hello YouTube, welcome back to the Airy Closet channel. Thank you so much for joining us again. Hit like, hit subscribe, join us for more if you like full-time reseller content. Today's video we're going to be talking about exactly what I mean when I say that we are full-time resellers, and a lot of what I don't mean by we are full-time resellers. So what does it actually mean? What does it actually take to do clothing or another niche online resale on apps like Poshmark, eBay, Mercari, not that we can use it, Depop, Facebook Marketplace, etc. So I want to really get into that with you guys today because a lot of people make a lot of assumptions about what I mean by that, and I do not always mean those things. So I want to tell you guys what the truth about being a full-time reseller. So let's get into that. So the first thing that someone could mean when they say they're a full-time reseller is simply that they work full-time hours reselling. Now this is something that I have meant on and off throughout the year when I say we are full-time resellers. I would say before Ethan was helping me, I was definitely spending full-time hours, meaning 40 hours a week, on reselling and the tasks that are strictly reselling related. Now that Ethan joined me, I would say we are not both working full-time at reselling, meaning we're not doing 80 hours a week reselling between the two of us. I would say on average right now we're doing probably 60 hours a week with reselling. And so when I say strictly reselling, I mean not this, what we're doing right now. This is YouTube. This doesn't help me make sales. Anything related to the actual buying and selling of goods. So sourcing, inventory, photographing, cleaning, measuring, repairing things, listing on the actual apps, interacting with buyers, cross-listing to eBay, cross-listing to Facebook Marketplace, meeting Facebook Marketplace people, you know, anything to do with the buying and selling, packaging and shipping as well is another major time suck out of those things. So that's what I mean by reselling, just anything that you need to run a reselling business and nothing that you don't need, meaning I'm not including social media, I'm not including YouTube. You don't need any of that to be a reseller. So strictly the hours that we spend doing those tasks, I would say we're spending an average of around 60 hours a week doing that between the two of us, so 30 each. And so because of that, I would actually consider us by this definition, part-time resellers. I think 30 hours a week is a part-time, just between part and full-time, but a part-time thing. And it is also only what we spend part of our time doing. We have been doing other things. I film these YouTube videos, Ethan edits them. I also interact with people on Instagram and post there, and we've also had a few other side hustles that we've been focusing on throughout the year. And so while I'm not saying we only work 30 hours a week, we actually probably work 60 each. But we only work 30 hours a week on the things that are directly related to reselling, and I consider that part-time because it is around half the time of what we do right now. Can you work full-time hours? Are there enough things to do to fill 40 hours a week for one person? Absolutely. 2 people? Honestly, you could fill 3 or 4 people. If you process enough stuff through your store, you can build that to whatever you want. If you're listing like 100 new listings a day, that's going to be like a 4-person full-time job, I'm thinking. Now, the second thing that someone could mean when they say they're a full-time reseller could be that they make a full-time income reselling. And now this will be relative to wherever you are in the world. And this is where we live comes in real hard because we live in Vancouver, British Columbia. And if you know, you know. That's one of the most expensive places to live in the world. So, for example, in our city, our suburb of Vancouver, which is a good half hour outside of Vancouver, the mean household income is $112,000 a year, and the median is $93,000. Did we make that this year? Did we net that? No, not even close. We knew we were building a business that we wanted to net from next year and the years following, but that is something, by that definition, we are absolutely not even close to full-time resellers, especially not over this past year. This year, again, we were focused on building a business. We were able to live off those savings. We're just lucky enough that we can still live here and we got to start this business. And a lot of that was luck in our life, honestly. Next year, we are counting on the income that we net from this business and probably in the years following, which is how we set this up. You know, we weren't trying to make the money back quickly. We were trying to build something that could sustain us over the next 5-10 years. So it'll depend for this one. If you're a full-time reseller, it'll depend on the cost of living in your area. Obviously, it's a very high cost of living where we are. It'll depend on what other factors you have. Like, do you have savings that you can fall back on? Did you plan to quit your job like 6 months in advance so you had 6 months of income to live off before you had to go? Did you plan to become a full-time reseller before that financial need hit? Because you can't just, I wish you could, I wish all of us could just quit your job and Poshmark will be there to catch you the next month. It will not. It takes time to build a business. It takes time to build something that you can net income from. And no one's going to tell you that reselling is a get-rich-quick scheme. No one's going to tell you that it doesn't take a ton of time and effort. No one's here to tell you that it's a magical solution to make all your financial woes go away. It's not. It's an amazing thing that I'm very grateful for because it allowed us to do what we wanted to do this year, which was to detach ourselves from our old full-time jobs. We wanted to make something that then could become the income that we rely on and grow other cool ventures off of. And without Poshmark, without eBay, we haven't really made anything on eBay yet, but we're gonna. But without Poshmark, we could not have done that as quickly as we have. And that's just what's so awesome about it. And so if you're starting as part-time and you're thinking like, oh, I want to go full-time, I would say don't focus on wanting to go full-time quickly, because again, full-time, like this whole video is about, it means something different to everyone. Focus on growing. And as long as you're growing, as long as you're doing better this month than you did the last one and so on going forward, then you're doing an awesome job. And whether or not you can go full-time is going to be hugely dependent on your circumstances. Most of my full-time reseller friends have partners who obviously have full-time paycheck, steady income coming in to their household, that if sales are down, their house is still having a solid income. And that's something you want to take into account when you're considering becoming full-time, is what do I do when sales slow down? What do I have? I think everyone on earth should have an emergency fund. I think everyone should try to get themselves away from the paycheck to paycheck, but living paycheck to paycheck is something that's very hard, I would say nearly impossible, when you can't count on that paycheck being the same every month. So that's something to take into account before you decide to go full-time or to stick part-time with your reselling. But yeah, the median household income in our city is $93,000 annually. So between the two of us, that'd be like $46,000, $47,000. I hope this is obvious. That is not what we took home this year. Not even close. If it was, I do believe that all of you should just quit your jobs right now and everyone should just do Poshmark full-time, because it's a magical pill that solves all problems within the first year. However, that's not something I ever want you to get from my channel, that you can jump off a cliff and Poshmark will catch you. Poshmark will support you, but you need to plan more than that. It's sales fluctuate, and this isn't something that you can necessarily count on or not count on. You can build it to something you can count on, but not quickly, not next month, not next paycheck. We don't even plan on netting $93,000 through strictly reselling next year. the way we're setting up our business, I think the first year that would be a possibility for us is 2023. And again, we're lucky enough that we were able to keep living here and start this business. I think if other circumstances had come to us, we would have either moved somewhere else in Canada, because there's lots of places where that's not the median household income, or we would have kept our jobs and started this as a part-time thing. So whatever your situation is, whatever you have to do, make it work, but make sure you're comfortable and can count on a monthly paycheck before you are jumping off the deep end and going full-time, quitting your job, whatever it is. I think it's important to either have a backup plan, as in savings, or to have built it up enough that you've seen for at least 4 or 5 months in a row that you can live off what you're netting from reselling. And lastly about that, I just wanted to say I don't think it's super realistic for anyone in any business, no matter what your business is, to be netting that much in your first year of business. Business have costs associated with them, and starting them up especially has the majority of the costs. The first year is where a lot of the costs come from. And then you have your maintenance costs, and those keep going on, but the majority of the costs that we had this year were one-time purchases, or just a few time purchases, or we'll just have to top up a little bit later on. But we have mounds and mounds of poly mailers. We have bins and shelves and things, a steamer, a Hulken bag. We have all these things that we're going to be able to take forward with us into our reselling business in the future. And yeah, you'd be hard pressed to find a business that you could start right now and in your first year net anywhere close to over $80,000 in your first year. I don't think that's realistic. I don't think that that's something you need to put on your business, because I just don't think it's realistic. I do believe we will be able to net that in our business. I think we're on the path to do that, like I said. Possibly not by 2022, but by the end of 2023, I think we'll be netting around there from the strictly reselling aspects of our business. And that is the plan going forward, but we shall see. And to answer number 2, do we make a full-time income reselling, especially in the area that we live in? No, not this year. And we did not plan on that, and we would not expect that in the first year of a new business. And the third and final thing that someone could mean when they say they're a full-time reseller, and this is what I mean when I say it, is that the majority of your current income is coming from reselling. Now, this has been true over the past year. And again, and I think I'm belaboring the point to death, but I want to be clear. The only reason that mine plus Ethan's, the whole household's income, could be from reselling this year is because we had our cost of living, our bills covered by savings. I want to be clear about that, because the majority of our income by far this year came in through reselling, and honestly came in mainly through Poshmark. So that was awesome. And like I said, we had a few other things. There was like a shortage of graphics cards this year, and we were able to flip a few of those, and that gave us a huge boost and was able to help us keep going. But the majority of our income every month came into our accounts through Poshmark. And that's amazing. You are able to make that happen fairly quickly, versus how much you're spending, netting, not so much. But having a stream of income coming in, yes, you can get that online on a much shorter timeline. And going forward, this is still, I think, going to be the case. We're setting up a few other streams of income now. Obviously, this YouTube channel hopefully one day could make money. Other things like that, social media, a blog, a different income, maybe a little Etsy store. We haven't got it all figured out yet, but we're going to set up more streams of income. But I do believe, especially for next year and probably the few years following that the majority of our income will still be coming from reselling. So much so next year that we're planning to live off of it, but I'll let you know if we don't. Lord, knock on tent. And just like this year, we started our reselling business and didn't expect to live off the income until 2022. Same goes for the other things we're starting. So we're starting this YouTube channel, but we don't expect it to make us money until maybe around 2023. We're starting a blog, and same thing, that takes time before it can build up. And same with like different affiliate marketing things, all the little businesses, all the other streams of income we're starting, we're not planning on living off that income until 2023. So pretty much our only income that we're going to be counting on next year is our reselling income. Essentially, the only income we had coming in this year. And that's hard for me to tell you guys. Not because it's hard for me to tell you resellers. It's just hard for me to like, hey, mom. Not my mom, she's lovely. But you know, it's weird when you put it on the internet and your friends and family can come to you and be like, so you're really living only off of your business now, eh? Yeah? And I'm like, oh yeah, that's true. That's what we're doing. Yeah. But it is. And I don't mind telling you guys that because I want you to be informed. I want you to know what I mean by full-time. I want you to know how quickly you could make a livable wage off of Poshmark so that you can plan for your future. And that's what I want for y'all. But what I don't want, and I wish wasn't a side effect of all this, is for everyone around me to know what I do and do not make financially. But they probably don't watch these videos anyway, you know? So it's probably fine. Yikes. So yes, this is kind of what I mean when I say we're full-time resellers. The majority of our income comes in through reselling. And that's been true this whole past year, and I think that'll be true going forward. It'll definitely be true going forward in 2022. And then I think it'll probably also be the biggest stream of income we have in 2023 and maybe 2024. From there, I don't know. We're not going that far ahead. I like to go farther ahead than that, but guess what? That's not realistic, and that's not the world we're living in today. So I stopped myself at 2024 in terms of what's going to happen because none of us know. So based on all these three definitions, any one of them that you pick, the truth about being a full-time reseller that I want to impart on you is that there are slightly less of them than it seems. People tell you that they're a full-time reseller, and they could mean any one of those three things. So they could mean that they work 40 hours a week on it, but not necessarily make a livable wage off it. They could mean they make a livable wage off it, and they don't work 40 hours a week off it. They could mean it's their only source of income, or it could be their household's fourth or fifth source of income. You don't know. When I say it, I didn't really know what I meant by it until I made this video. And we don't know what other people mean when they say it too. So I want you all to take that with a grain of salt when you're going forward. That doesn't mean that you can't make it as a full-time reseller. There are obviously many people who do. There are even people who do and then employ other people. So that is in the cards for some resellers. I just don't want you to think like, I'm going to start a reselling business this year. I'm going to hire some employees this year. I'm going to buy all this inventory this year. And I'm going to live off the income this year, and it's my first year. Slow down. That's probably not going to happen. If it does, amazing. Maybe there is a certain amount of all-nighters you could pull to make that happen. I think you'd burn out. But hey, if you do it, freaking comment down below and let me know, and then teach me your ways because I'm impressed. But I don't think that most of us should be putting that kind of pressure on ourselves. The first year you start a business, I've said it like 17 times in this video, let me say it again, is not going to net you a livable wage. It's just true no matter what business you're starting. So obviously that's taking a financial risk if you're going into it full-time right away, and you're gonna want to have some backups if that's the path that you're choosing. Yeah, but does it take 40 hours a week to run a successful Poshmark closet or a successful eBay store? No, not necessarily. And I would say we don't even spend 40 hours a week, both of us each 40 hours a week on our Poshmark closets and eBay store. It does not take two people to do this. If you're thinking my life's gonna be so much easier, as I was, when Ethan joins me and he'll be like a second person to carry the burden of all the business things. If you're thinking that will be some magical pill that will skyrocket your business to success, it will not. Sorry. That just means now you have to stretch that income more so it covers two people, is what that means. So yes, your business will be able to grow because you have more people working on it, but your income has to grow as well because it has to employ now both those two people, right? Another takeaway that I want to give you guys from this is even when you see people and they're saying they're making over $100,000 a year reselling, and obviously that's amazing and our goal, even those people have other streams of income. And that is a good function. I think that's a healthy thing to do as a reseller. I think that you absolutely can build a business that is full-time reselling, no social media, no side things like that. It's full-time reselling and that's the only source of income for it. You can absolutely build that. I just think it's a little easier and maybe also a little more fun to add other streams of income. One, because sales fluctuate and sometimes we have no control over that. Sometimes you have control over that. If you don't list, you're not going to get sales. So there's a certain amount of you have to work for it, but there's also a certain amount of global pandemic suddenly and recession suddenly and people not being able to go out to events, so they don't want dresses and they don't want heels, you know, or they're suddenly able to and now they want them again, and loungewear's out now, and you know, there is a ton of uncertainty in this business. And so I think it's healthy, and I would fully recommend, if you do start a full-time reselling business, to add a few more streams of income to it. I know a lot of people who are full-time resellers, but they say, I'm a full-time entrepreneur. And that's kind of what we're aiming to be in the future as well. Because if you can't count on your sales to necessarily hit the number that they need to hit every month, then what else can you count on? And you want to get a few of those streams going. And I think reselling is absolutely perfectly suited to that. I think that's why there's so many more part-time resellers than full-time resellers. And I don't want you to think like, oh, those full-time resellers are making so much more money, I need to be one of them. No, you don't, because whatever you're doing with the other part of your time is a very valuable thing that you're doing. And you don't need to be full-time to make this work. You don't need to be full-time to make a full-time income at it. And you don't need to stop doing the other things you love or stop working on other projects to devote all your time to this. Obviously it takes time, but what I'm trying to get across essentially is that the world is unpredictable, and if it were up to me and I was making all of our decisions, I would decide that we all have at least 3 or 4 streams of income, so that at any point, if there's another crazy world event, which, let's be honest, they're probably coming, if one stream of income drops off suddenly, you aren't left hanging. And that even is me talking to those of you who have a full-time job and that's your only stream of income. That stream of income can drop off too. You never know when librarians aren't going to be a thing anymore, when your business is going to have to shut down because it was in the tourism industry or because it was in, you know, maybe another business starts booming. You know, we don't know what's going to happen. And that includes the full-time paycheck. As much as it would be lovely if we could count on those. And yes, they are a little bit more reliable than entrepreneur income month to month, especially at first, like in our first year here. But that is not necessarily going to be true in the years to come. This might be me telling you, if you don't already have a Poshmark closet started, to start one. Because who knows if that's going to be the income you're relying on 6 or 8 months from now, when the income that was supposed to be stable at the steady job drops off a cliff suddenly. I think you can be a full-time reseller. You can spend hours and hours doing it, or you can spend few hours doing it. However many hours you put into it does not necessarily mean how much income you can make doing it. I think that they're related, but they're not. It is not a 1-to-1 ratio of hours to income. And I think that I would caution you against going full-time in your first year unless you have a backup that you are able to count on. Say you're a single mom and your partner works, then wait, that's not how being a single mom works. Oh my God, words. Say you're a not so single mom and your partner works and that income covers your expenses by itself. Then jump in full time, do it. That's amazing. That's one of those lucky scenarios that I was talking about earlier. There definitely are truly full-time resellers out there. They're very inspiring. You should go follow some of them. They have a wealth of knowledge. Are we one of those full-time resellers? Sort of, depending on how you define it. I would say we are in that most of our income does come from reselling. I'd say that's the box that we check off in terms of full-time resellers. And do I recommend becoming a full-time reseller in every sense of the term full-time reseller? No, not really. But I wouldn't me, as I am, would not recommend becoming a full-time anything only. I think the biggest takeaway you can take from this video is I think multiple streams of income is a fantastic idea. And I think Poshmark is a really fun, really simple, not easy, but simple one that anyone could start up this week. You could go through your clothes this week, grab the things that you don't wear anymore, sell them online, and hey, that's a bit of extra income. Maybe it's $100 a month at first. Maybe it becomes 2 or 3 or 5 soon. Maybe soon it's half your income, and that's amazing. So I think everyone should start selling on Poshmark and buying on Poshmark. But yeah, I just wanted to be clear for once, and I think I've alluded to this in so many other videos. So I wanted to be really clear. This is what I mean when I say we're full-time resellers. This is what I do not mean. And those are a lot of our plans going forward. So let me know what you think of this video. Hit that like button if you liked it. If it gave you any new insights, give me a comment if you have any comments for me. And we'll see you guys in the next video because we're never stopping this fun journey. Bye-bye.